Good evening. I'm Eula Clark, Mayor of the City of Stuart, calling to order the regular meeting of the Stuart City Commission, January 11, 2021, here at our Commission chambers at 121 Southwest Flagler Avenue in Stuart, Florida. City Clerk Mary Kendall, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Clark,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Matheson,
Present.
Commissioner Bruner,
Here.
Commissioner McDonald,
Here.
Commissioner Meyer.
Here.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And as we center ourselves to start this meeting, please think quietly of our nation, those who work hard to defend our nation here, abroad, and those who are leaders in our community and our nation. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This is our first meeting of the year, and I'm glad that we're starting out again with the Arts Moment. For those who are on Zoom, our first meeting of the year, we decided through changes in our rules that not just this meeting, but we did it some time ago during last year. We're starting at 4 p.m. for the first meeting of every month. We'll start at 4 p.m. And at that time, when we start the meeting, we will have an arts moment. Even though it's a new year, we have someone who is no stranger to performing and showing us how art works in the city of Stuart and in our Treasure Coast community, Miss Samara Lewis. And I know that she has added to her credentials, so if she wants to say and tell us where she's doing in school and what's happening. But at this time, for our arts moment, Samara Lewis.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Samara Lewis. Do I take my mask off while I sing, or do I have to keep
You're
it
far
on?
enough away that you can.
Okay.
You're by yourself.
I go to Vero Beach Charter High School. I'm in the arts program there, and I do musical theater. I'm going to sing A Change in Me. Wi-Fi's kind of bad.
Jim, want to help her?
It's like loading. Okay. Okay, it came on. There's been a change in me, a sign of moving on. Though what I used to be, I still depend upon. For now I realize that good can come from bad. That may not make me wise, but oh, it makes me glad, and I never thought I'd leave behind my childhood dreams, but I don't mind. I'm where and who I want to be. No change of heart, a change in me. For in my dark despair, I slowly understood that perfect world out there had disappeared for good. But in its place I feel a truer life begin, and it's so good and real. It must come from within, and I never thought I'd leave behind my childhood dreams, but I don't mind. I'm where and who I want to be. No change of heart, a change in me. No change of heart, a change in me.
Thank you so much, Samara. And if you and your parents and your friends could come up and get a certificate, we appreciate that. And we can take a picture together. Thank you. Thank you. Got it? Thanks. Thank you so much. And thank you, parents, Mr. and Mrs. Dexter Lewis. Thank you so much. And you're going all the way to Vero Beach, so that must be a good school. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. Our next item are our proclamations. We have Human Trafficking Awareness Day today, January 11th, 2021. City Attorney?
Proclamation Human Trafficking Awareness Day, January 11th, 2021. Whereas human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery. Victims of human trafficking are subject to force, fraud, or coercion for the purpose of sexual exploitation or forced labor. And whereas human trafficking is occurring at epidemic levels all over the world, including communities throughout Martin County and the city of Stuart. Human trafficking goes against basic human rights, and there is a vital need to eradicate this crime. And whereas law enforcement, federal and state agencies, nonprofits, social service providers, private industry, and non-governmental organizations are working to fight child sex trafficking in our community through awareness, education, prevention, restoration, and legislation. And whereas human trafficking is a growing epidemic that affects thousands of victims, community partners are doing all they can to fight this horrific crime by bringing awareness to our local communities. Now, therefore, I, Eula R. Clark, Mayor of the City of Stuart, Florida, do hereby proclaim that January 11, 2021 is Human Trafficking Awareness Day in the City of Stuart, and urge the citizens to help end modern-day slavery and exploitation that affects children in our own backyard.
Okay, and to accept it, we're going to have two folks here, Miss Kelly, Lorene, and you're accompanied by someone else. Both of you are going to come up.
This is Dr. Kimberly Masnick, who is also on our board.
Doctor, thank you so much. And what we're going to do is do the certificate with a photograph, and then you can go to the podium.
That's Kelly.
You can see in the eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Please have a few words.
Thank you so much for presenting us with this proclamation once again to recognize the importance of our mission. Whoa. To prevent the sex trafficking of children through awareness, education, restoration, and legislation. I just want to take a minute to tell you, I know a lot of you have been familiar of our efforts in the community since we've been around, but we started something new this year we wanted to share with you, which is that now we've identified one of the largest gaps in the system was trauma-informed therapy for victims, which we, as of 2020, started providing to victims here, minor victims here in Martin County. This is a huge monumental thing for our mission, for restoration and bringing hope. We also have met with the Stuart Chief of Police and are going to start really partnering with law enforcement to provide training about awareness and when they're out patrolling, and we had such a great reception. So we want to thank you for supporting our efforts, and let us know if you ever have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. Hope we never need your services, but we thank you for what you do. Keep our city safe and our whole community. Thank you so much. On Monday, the 18th of January, will be the annual recognition of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration and all that has been achieved through the civil rights movement. Mr. City Attorney, could you please read the proclamation?
Proclamation, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, January 18, 2021. Whereas Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that a person's worth should not be measured by his or her color, culture, or class, but rather by their commitment to creating a better life for all. And whereas Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a visionary whose courage and determination to balance the scales of social justice changed the world forever. And whereas January 18th, 2021 is the federal Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on which we reflect on Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy and actively serve others. And whereas for the 13th year, the City of Stuart has joined with the Afro-American Citizens of East Stuart, Inc. and other civic groups throughout Martin County to host a day of community, unity, and partnership, celebrating the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Martin County. Now therefore, I, Eula R. Clark, Mayor of the City of Stuart, do hereby proclaim January 18, 2021 as a celebration of the life of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All citizens are encouraged to participate in activities honoring his legacy.
Thank you. And to accept that award, we have the President of the African American Citizens of East Stuart, Ms. Nina Dooley, as well as Mr. Pete
Hall.
Hall, Peter Hall. We'll have this, and then we will have you speak at the podium.
on behalf of the Afro-American citizens of East Stewart and the citizens of East Stewart and all of Martin County, we sincerely would like to thank the city of Stewart for your continued support in supporting this most important day for us. The weekend consists of a kickoff on Friday, which will be held down in Hope Sound at the J.V. Reed Park, which, from what I understand, is next to the fire department down there. On Saturday, there will be a picnic in the park down at the New Monrovia Park in Port Salerno. And on Sunday, they're going to be having a sort of like a picnic in the park over in Indiantown with a kickball game, and they're supposedly also going to have some speakers. And then on Monday, we'll be here at Guy Davis Park. ACES will be hosting those activities for the day. On behalf of our president here, again, we would like to say thank you, and we look forward to, this is our second year doing this, and we truly look forward to a long and positive relationship with the city of Stewart, putting this event together every year. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our service awards. Hold on. Let me see, 25 years? Yes. For 25 years, George Summer from our fire department. Yes, our fire department, 25 years. We're just going to hold on to this because I know that he's not here.
Look, any of them right here.
Is anybody? No. There's no fire outside either.
That's a good thing.
Like a fire.
I saw a
Just
couple
fire.
folks downtown.
Fire chief. I heard that Dave Lawson would be here for his 25 years also.
I don't think they got the memo at all 4 o'clock. They're all going to run at 5:30.
I'm a little bit disappointed. I wanted a speech from Dave Lawson.
He'll probably come at
And we will
5:30.
have fire chief to bring them back another day.
We might see them at 5:30, Madam Mayor.
Okay, maybe they'll come at 5:30. Okay, maybe
It'll
they
be
don't
too
know.
late. We've revoked the certificate.
And also, fire rescue again, Alex Genosi for 20 years. This is truly a testament to the longevity and the hard work of our fire department members. Also, Mr. Callahan, Robert Callahan, 15 years.
We didn't use time.
So this is just absolutely wonderful. And for our collections and sanitation department, residential collection, David Van Brussel, 5 years. I don't know, maybe city manager instructed them not to come today.
The firefighters all had one of their shots, so they don't want to be around anybody until they get the second.
Yeah, it sounds like
I know.
doing their
So-
mutual aid.
So thanks so much for all the service, and we will give you your certificates. They're here. These certificates are a little bit heavier than usual, so I'm wondering what's going on. But 25 years is a good, long time to serve and do great work. We appreciate it for all the time. Our next item on the agenda is the Employee of the Month for January 2021. And this must be really, really special because this is the first month of the year, and it's just wonderful to be selected the Employee of the Month. Is that Mr. Krolski's department? Whose department is that?
Yes,
City
ma'am, it
manager?
is. Thank you, Mayor. And this is Jim Korolski, Community Services Director for the City of Stewart for the official record. And I am here to present the recommendation for the Employee of the Month for January 2021. And it's my privilege to to being able to recommend to you Mr. Hogarth, but before I do so, I'd like to tell you a little bit about his background. Mr. Hogarth was originally hired as the City of Stuart's first public information officer in 2016, and he's filled a lot of different important roles for the City of Stuart over his 4 years of employment with us. Due to his unique skills and adaptability, Ben served in multiple roles for the Community Services Department. His original duties began with creating the communications plan, which we utilize every day now, and also legislative affairs and seeing the city's special events permitting process. His responsibilities over the years have grown to be included the city's river advocate. Ben also proudly served on the Environmental Sustainability Committee for the City of Stuart. Ben's a natural when it comes to bureaucratic process. I always say to myself, I could, be here in government for 50 years and I would pale in comparison to his natural aptitude to the bureaucratic process. His writing ability is excellent, especially when it comes to policy and procedure. In addition, Ben's ability to grasp scientific information has proven to be very valuable to the City of Stuart as the Commission prioritized the environment and the St. Lucie River a few years ago. I always say that community services has our core responsibilities with, of course, our roots, which is the Parks and Recreation. However, we are chameleons of being able to adjust and change our colors to adapt to the Commission's desires, the city manager's desires. And Ben has done a beautiful job of being able to change his colors in order to be able to serve you and the residents of the City of Stuart very, very effectively. Due to Mr. Hogarth's dedication and diverse skill sets that benefit the City of Stuart, I'm recommending him as January's Employee of the Month.
Did you write that?
Actually, I ad-libbed half of it.
Don't tell
Don't
Ben that.
encourage him.
Mr. Hogarth, you get to speak on behalf of yourself, not on the city
And
today.
he's the one guy that could use it, that could fill the time.
Hey.
All those 5 minutes were adding up all the times I could have spoke before, and so I was just adding to the list.
You'll have to tell them about all the phone calls that make you field at all hours of the day regarding the river, so.
It's true, but the one thing I can say is I definitely appreciate the opportunity to have done all these roles over the past. It'll be actually 5 years next month for me, which I can't even believe how quickly that time has gone by. But I appreciate Jim and all the from the day I had my interview here to now. It's been a roller coaster of just so many different. Jim likes to call them curveballs they're thrown at us, and being in a recreation department also that makes sense. One of the other things, and I certainly thank the commission for all the opportunities to work on these projects. Sustainability committee, what we as a team put together, I'm really, really proud of everybody that was on that team, proud of city manager and everybody else who supported us through that process. Certainly Jim, being supportive of me having that role. I think that's a big thing for the city. It's a first time for us. Jim wasn't kidding when he said that I'm a big bureaucratic guy. I heard that for the first time in my life when I was in college, and I couldn't believe it then. I had a professor who used to teach at the University of Tennessee, and she said, you're the most bureaucratic guy I've ever known. She says, you remind me of a student I had at the University of Tennessee in the past. And I said, who was that? And she said, it was Al Gore. I said, okay, that makes sense. Since I've been here, the one thing that I've learned is that the City of Stuart doesn't just excel at being the first at things. When I look at what we've done with the BMAPs, which for folks who don't know what that is, that's us making sure that what we're putting into the river is clean, not dirty. The city has just excelled. We've had so many leaders, and I can certainly thank Dave Peters, who had just left us. He was one of those inspirational voices, and certainly someone that I'm going to miss very much, but glad that he's around. Anyway, I appreciate everybody's time. I'm certainly not going to take an hour here, but thank you very, very much again.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, I'll give way to the city clerk and the city manager with regard to our time frame for starting at 4 p.m. and then to have business or city commission comments start at 5:30. City manager?
Madam Mayor, we did not advertise a time certain for the commissioner comments, so you may start at any time the board pleases. So it's whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Pleasure of the board is to continue with the meeting and have the commissioners' comments now? Is that the pleasure of the board, or do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
I agree.
Okay, so we'll have comments by city commissioners. Commissioner Bruner?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you. Is that it, Commissioner Bruner?
That's
Yes,
it.
ma'am,
Thank you.
thank you. Commissioner McDonald?
Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess it is. Morning, long day. Anyways, Happy New Year, and I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year's holiday. And I just there's a couple of quick things I want to bring up. One is, Mr. Dias, could we see about getting some enforcement, law enforcement downtown in the crosswalks? As far as people crossing the crosswalks, it's every so often we need to do that because nobody stops for anybody in the crosswalks. And that would be great. And also speeding on Osceola Street. I've been surprised how fast some people, and sadly it's the folks heading to work at the hospital, most of them. So if we could look at that. And then I did get a complaint today about speeding on Riverside Drive down by Martin Avenue. I'm not sure if it was 1 car or 10 cars, but there's not much traffic there, so. But I thought I'd throw it in since I was bringing it up anyways. I also have gotten another complaint about the construction at the, not the building itself, but the construction over at the storage facility. I talked to Kev Freeman, and he's going to call the neighbor. But this has been, I've had multiple complaints from neighbors regarding the construction over there. So, and staff has done a great job of getting those issues resolved. So hopefully that will be. And finally, the blue signs that we have put up when we're having a development project, they seem to never get taken down. And there are signs that I know that were there from before 2018. And they're all over the place. And I think that, I don't know if we have to change our ordinance, or maybe it's just the development department can just make sure, just call the developers and make sure that they get taken down, because they're there forever. They never seem to come down.
So as coincidences work, I just thought about that this morning myself, and I started to email developers to start looking at where they have signs. There is code provision that they need to take the signs down after public hearing's been held and they've either been denied or approved. So it's coincidence, but I did start looking at those this morning.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how they just never seem to come down, especially if the project doesn't get built. It's, but even I've seen some where the project's approved and they're doing things, and it's small, like urban code exceptions, and
I'll tell you what,
and the
if I can
sign.
chime in, I think what happens is they actually hire a sign company
Yes,
to
it's
get
not
the
the,
sign.
yeah.
So there's no one on the developer's side who was assigned to that task, and it just kind of falls through the cracks, but we'll address it and fix it.
And
Thank
so-
you. Thank you,
so-
Mr. Freeman. Thank you.
And then just finally, wasn't sure if I was going to say anything or not, but I think I am going to. With the events of last week, I just want to remind everybody that, we're all one country, all here together. We're not separate, we're all here working for each other, for each other's goal. And I think it's really sad what happened in Washington, D.C., but at the same time, I know that we're going to get through this as a country, and God bless. And I also want to think that we should also keep the Capitol police officer who was killed in the line of duty in our thoughts and prayers.
Amen, all of them. Thank you, Commissioner McDonald. Well said. Former Mayor Meyer, I just like the alliteration, so.
Former Mayor Mike Meyer.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, you get another M out of it. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy New Year to everybody. It's funny, I've received a couple complaints about speeding and about the construction over there, so thank you for bringing those up. I wanted to also make a comment about last week's events that were troubling for everybody. I know that there are members of our community on all sides of this issue, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, Commissioner, that I think the important thing is that we have to remember we're all Americans and we're all in this together, and we have to try to, we can't lose sight of that we are together, and we can't see each other as enemies, though we might disagree. I have read that there has been some FBI notice going out to state capitals for localized, potential threats of localized organized attacks, violence. So I would hope that I'm sure that our local law enforcement, public safety are tuned into those conversations and making sure that we are all staying safe here in our community. And let's hope that 2021 brings us more prosperity and health and kindness every day. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. I'm glad that myself and Vice Mayor last because we probably have the most comments, but I think Vice Mayor will beat me today. Vice Mayor
Thank you.
Matheson.
Thank you, Mayor. Try and keep it concise as much as possible. Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope everyone had a happy holidays. Lake Okeechobee right now is at 15.67 feet. It is slowly inching down. Had a few meetings and some phone calls last week, and we'll have another one tomorrow, a periodic scientist call. I could tell we're significantly, that we've definitely entered the dry season because the topic of kind of pressure on the Corps has shifted from we don't want your water, in polite terms, to please conserve water in the lake. And so that's how I know I've seen this for a couple years now. But we are in the dry season. As of January 8th, the Corps is seemingly still working with us. We've gone through our pulse discharges into our estuary. And so for the next month or so, we're going to have 0 discharges from Lake Okeechobee into our estuary. And I'm reminded of what I think Ms. Thurlow-Lippis said when the Army Corps was here. It's a little disappointing, but I'm up here celebrating that we're going to have a month of 0 discharges from the lake. But baby steps, baby steps. After that, in February, they'll reevaluate the position of the lake. Again, it's extremely troubling to see how high the lake is right now. It's higher than it was this spot in 2016, this time of year in 2018. And we know what those summers turned into. On the topic of water, Commissioner Ken Russell, the Vice Chair of the City of Miami, is going to pay the City of Stuart a visit on January 21st to talk about water quality issues. So this is a significant one because it shows how far our small ripples are going as we, the City of Stuart, continue to speak up about our water quality issues. So the Commissioner will be here with some of his staff. I hope to accompany him on a boat ride to our locks and point out, the natural South Fork and show him, the St. Lucie Canal, and, they won't be flowing at that time, but I'll stoke his imagination of billions of gallons of water flowing over them into our estuary. I think I'll have to bring this up. I just wanted to caution all my fellow commissioners up here about something that stuck with me, and I've had a lot of comments on it. That we're all up here to do a job and discuss and debate issues in a transparent manner. And that no matter how long a meeting drags on, this is what we've signed up for. And it's our duty to do that, you know, because we're doing it up here on the dais in front of people so people can hear what we're saying and it's recorded. And so I just want to caution all of us on trying to rush through meetings. I certainly, you know, do get frustrated when a meeting runs too long. But, you know, we at least need to try our best to give respect to our staff and those that have real stake in the issues that we're discussing up here to show proper credence and let the issues come out and be discussed properly. And then we have talked about MLK Day. I encourage everyone to come out. The Guy Davis Park, presented by ACES, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., January 18th. And I'd just like to mention to all my fellow commissioners and thank the mayor for all our meetings we had last week in discussing our priorities. And one of them that is on my list that I'd like to mention to you all so you can all think about it is I'd like to host a job fair sometime in the spring. Coincidentally, I'd heard from our city manager that this was also an idea of Chief Tuminelli's. And it's kind of, in my theory, the idea about I've been bouncing around is our COVID rebound and one way we can try to spur the economy. And the only two requirements I really have at this point are, one, I believe adamantly that it should be at the 10th Street Community Center, and two, that I believe it should be in person. But between now and then, and I say then because of that in-person fact, we'll have to watch COVID numbers, but I'm going to try and you know, talk to local business owners in the city and in the county and encourage them, you know, to come that are looking to hire, you know, new employees. And, you know, whatever we can do, I'll talk to Career Resources Council. But, you know, on the top of my list, the good old traditional job fair to try and get people back to work as the vaccine continues to inch its way through our community.
Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I would be happy to, the BDB, which I'm a board member, has a
Yes.
lot of experience doing job fairs, and we've actually talked to the NAACP about doing one as well. So I would be happy to work with the BDB and have them work with you to do that, because they have access to all the employers in the county.
Perfect. I mean, those are, at this point, I'm happy to hear and work with all of us or work with the BDB. Those are my only two requirements. We have to be safe, but the people that are affected most by COVID are the same people that aren't going to have easy access to Wi-Fi and a Zoom virtual job fair.
I will have the executive director of the BDB
Perfect.
contact you.
Perfect.
And can I just add to that, also during the COVID, I think Indian Town had, I think, one or two successful job fairs out there, so
Excellent.
you can always find out how they did that, and they were in person also.
Perfect.
Mr. Vice Mayor, also the Career Source Research Coast, they're one of the associate members of the Council of Local Governments. I can connect you with them as well, I think.
Please. Please.
Continue with your comments, sir.
And then the final thing is, you know, again, the insurrection that we all saw happen at Capitol Hill. We've all been flooded with news by it, and all I've got to say is I've never been, you know, more proud to be an American when I was elected to serve my hometown here. But I've never been more disgusted to see what I saw And some of the videos I saw where I can see a uniformed officer getting beaten by a pole with one side of it holding the American flag. And that uniformed officer is sworn to protect our Capitol, getting beaten down by a mob. And most of them are holding American flags. Has made me, there's nothing that's made me more disgusted than to see that playing on many major news channels across our country. So we all need to look within ourselves and work to do our best in the coming future to unite our country again and come to find common ground with each other. And Madam Mayor, those are it for my comments.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone, and thanks for either being present here in council chambers or on the Zoom. And I just wanted to bring attention that we do have our fire chief here with us, and we thank him, and Happy New Year. We have this 4 p.m. time frame that we started, and I think it's a good idea. Today we have a little bit of time, but we do need to get this, and then we do need to get to the business at hand when that occurs. This is just one meeting out of the 2 for the month. And when we do get to the business of hand, I agree with you, Vice Mayor, that we do need to spend time discussing relevant issues and given the appropriate time. So we appreciate that, and I do appreciate the help that we get from our city manager and our city attorney to make sure that everything goes well. With regard to my other comments, I'd like to first say thank you to the commissioners who met with me last week. I had come up with some ideas on visioning. They came up with some ideas, and of course, as we go through, we'll be adding. But I'd caution my fellow commissioners to think of ideas really quickly and start talking to our city manager, because we'll soon have a budget, and we, of course, have to be careful and understand how we're going to deal with the budget this year. Because we don't know exactly what our shortfalls and stuff will be. So we need to work on that and try to put things for the future. So in doing the vision, even before the vision, I think I'd written a vision letter, and I just want to say thank you to former Commissioner Campenny for publishing the letter in his Friends and Neighbors magazine. We appreciate it, that it's a good service to our community, and we appreciate what you're doing, and we appreciate that. Someone has suggested to me to maybe if we could get that out into our city website somehow, city managers, if we could work on doing something with that so we can either have a condensed version or just have that on our city website, at least for some time at the start of the year. So we appreciate that, and thank you, former Commissioner Campenny. With regard to a couple of things, I just wanted to say that I went to the inauguration ceremony for the property appraiser, Jenny Fields, last week, a new constitutional officer, and with the city manager, and so that's a part of participating in our community, and I think that that's a good thing. Just to make sure that people know what's going on in our community and what's happening, I'm just going to add a couple of things. Some people have mentioned things that are happening. So on January the 15th, the Martin Luther King events start, and then, of course, they go on till the 18th. On the 15th, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, which I'm now a member of based on the committee appointments from this board, they'll be meeting at the Wolf Technology Center at 9 a.m. on January the 15th. On January the 15th, also, we'll be having our annual Stuart Boat Show. So the traffic will be changed, and there'll be more people in town. Of course, we have social distancing, and so please look out for that and see what's going on. On the 20th, the Treasure Coast legislative delegation will be meeting at the Wolf Technology Center starting at 9 a.m. So all of our state representative, and I think our congressional representative, our county commissioners and others will be there, and people who have concerns will be bringing their concerns to the legislative delegation. So that's at 9 a.m. on the 20th. On the 21st, as Vice Mayor Matheson mentioned, the city of Miami will be coming to talk to us in Stuart about river and water issues, and we'll be here at the council chambers, and then they'll be taking a tour by boat around the community. On January the 28th, the state of Florida will be honoring Miss Thelma Waters from Indiantown, who's a stalwart person in our entire community, in the Hall of Fame in Tallahassee. And that ceremony will be broadcast live stream, and you can go to the Timer Powers Park in Indiantown. They'll be having a little ceremony there on January 28th. With regard to other things, I've had a complaint that people were upset that the roads were being resurfaced during the Christmas holidays, and they didn't like the way that it looked, and they thought that it was not good, but there's so many places that have the same fix-up, and I know that the city manager has tried to address those issues. I'm still trying to see. With regard to the Miami, folks coming from Miami, I again want to thank Vice Mayor Matheson as well as Jim Kralski and Ben Hogart for working on that and getting that together. And Stuart is on the map, will remain on the map, and we just want to make sure. My theme for this year during my mayoral time is clean city, clean street, clean river. And so I'm working on that. So please help us. We have a schedule for all the community and neighborhood cleanups. I think we had one this weekend. So again, if we could emphasize that on the city's website so that people know, and also that people work with their own yards, their own street, their own sidewalks to continue to clean up. And we'll be trying to roll out a little cleanup plan neighborhood by neighborhood, not just the hazardous waste pickup, but really getting in there and doing some work. So we'll be working on that. I know that we had some, before that, on the 15th, there's going to be a Jeffrey Smith Art Gallery combination with a local realtor in town on Osceola Street. And they've asked me to come as the mayor to say a few words, so I'll be going to that on the 15th in the afternoon also. City manager, what I was about to say was that people have been complaining about trash on the bridge and trash in other places. So I think it is apt that I have chosen as one of my hallmarks to really push for these clean street, these areas. And of course, safety. I'm glad that Commissioner McDonald brought up safety at these crosswalks. I'm going to turn it over to city manager.
Thank you. Well, you said all my dates, so I really don't have much to say about all that. Other than the boat show closure of the roads actually starts tomorrow, so traffic will start backing up as of tomorrow. And the move of our Zoom and video system now you see is in the far back right, so if you're looking for, determine whether or not there's comments, look to the far right for Paul is sitting at now. And I've been, this is our first meeting under our new system, so I've been in and out of the meeting, checking it out, and it's actually working very, very well. The live stream on the website is phenomenal compared to what it used to be. And we will discuss as staff as the different things, topics that you guys have brought up, and pursue them.
Thank you. And as the mayor, I have also heard comment from persons about the insurrection at the Capitol building, and people have asked me, what is our police department doing to protect us in the future? What is our congressman doing? What are other people doing? Do we have any ideas, any plans, what's happening in our community? So I'm sure that we're continuing to work diligently, and anything that we're doing for public events or just any gathering, any meeting, I'm hoping that we're all working diligently, but people are concerned in our own local community. Thank you. City manager, anything else?
So no, not for me, Madam Mayor. So at this point, you can either recess until 5:30 or you can continue on. The item number 13 is actually going to be requested to have a continuation to a date certain. So that leaves off any items that would have presenters at, and the rest would all be city staff items. So you can either recess till 5:30 or you can push forward.
Has any of the items on the agenda been advertised to start at 5:30?
No, they were all at 4.
Okay, so the next item after this would be the approval of the agenda as published. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, I'd like for the city attorney at this time to read us the civility code. And I'd like to say that at this time, we have time for general public comments. There's always going to be time for public comments when an item comes up. But I wish if I knew that we had this space tonight, I would have asked the city clerk to do her regular, to do a program that she had presented before on how we operate here at the city and how things run. But I didn't realize that we would have this time gap today. But if you could guide us in light of things that have happened in our nation's capital. Just guide us on how we can be more civil with each other, Mr. City Manager, before I get to ask if there's any general public comments. City Manager, City Attorney. So we have the what is civility on here.
First, we have, it should be noted that there is a plaque on the podium directing those giving public comment to be civil and courteous to their fellow patrons. We also have in the agenda the definition of civility. Civility is caring about one's identity, needs, and beliefs without degrading someone else's in the process. Civility is more than merely being polite. Civility requires staying present even with those persons with whom we have deep-rooted and perhaps strong disagreements. It's about constantly being open to hear, learn, teach, and change. It seeks common ground as a beginning point for dialogue. It is patience, grace, and strength of character. Civility is practiced in our City Hall.
Thank you. You've been brief, Mr. City Attorney?
I don't
That's
have any
it?
further. I mean, I can ad-lib for a while if you want. I know we have time.
Would you like to do an arts moment?
No.
Jim could help me with the drums.
At this time, I'll go to the general public comments. First, we have Mr. Tom Campenny. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, thank you for the kind words. I just want to say two things. One, as far as the bridges are concerned, I don't know if you've been following it, but Jensen Beach Causeway has been closed to fishing because of the trash and because of the fish being thrown in the line and so forth and so on. So that's a problem that goes throughout Martin County. I don't know what they're going to do, but remember, and I guess the city manager will bear this out, we don't control the bridges. So for us, we can't even clean them up, I don't believe, without having a problem. Can we, city manager? I don't know.
I just saw something from the county when they were talking about that if they took on that responsibility, they'd also have to take on the other maintenance.
Exactly. So that's something to remember. And the last thing is, there's the taxpayers, Martin County Taxpayers Association annual dinner on the 28th of January at the Corinthian Yacht Club. It's probably going to be the only thing we do this year because of COVID. So I know you all received an invite, and I hope you all do attend, including the city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campenny. Our next comment is from Ms. Helen McBride.
Helen McBride from Flamingo Avenue, Stuart. I just want to take this opportunity. I know all five, everyone up here, I should say, has always said what a great staff we have here in the city. And I think the month of December certainly showed what a great staff we have. As I tell you, I'm always riding around checking out this downtown. The firemen and the police officers, on their own time, were down at Flagler Park building the things, the gingerbread house and that. And then this Christmas, like myself, I couldn't spend it with my grandchildren or my children. So it was so nice to come down and to see. It was all volunteers, the city employees. They volunteered, they were so great. And you were all there, city commissioners and the gentlemen. But it was a joy. And those young children from the 10th Street dancing their heart out all night. And I know something, you may have gotten some complaints about traffic, but I found it interesting because I was caught. But some young boy, little kid, about, I don't know, 4, waved, so I rolled the window down. They yelled, "Merry Christmas." You'd be surprised how the domino effect, people wave and are saying. And it just shows, so our staff, like you're all saying, what a great staff we have. And the other was Memorial Park. Those realtors did it, and the city, again, the departments. If you came down during the day, you could take and see how much dedication and hands making were put into those projects. And then at night, they were lit up. Now, it just so happened my sister, my niece, and my son, her husband came over. Shelley and her husband are in real estate. And I had them up there, and they certainly enjoyed it. And then my 2 grandsons, because they haven't seen me since June, came up the weekend after the 1st. I think it was around there. And I took them up, and I was surprised because they're 12 and 16. I thought, oh, they're not going to enjoy this. And I bribed them with the rib dinner. Well, I don't cook. And I was surprised how they, and each tree, and they made comments and to see. So I also think our realtors, you know, we just think they would just want to sell houses and bring in more people, but no, they gave back to our community. So I just want to say, we are, as Becky's always saying, this is a great little town to live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of the realtors, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McBride. I'm glad that you mentioned that, and maybe if I could ask City Manager, with the consent of our commission, that we do thank the Realtor Association for partnering with us on that event for Christmas. And City Manager, even without the commission's approval, I would like to authorize you to to thank Chief Tumanelli and the fire department and everyone who did the Halloween and who did the Christmas downtown, to give them some kind of an innovation award. I don't know what it is that you're going to do to make them happy, but they it was just wonderful what the police department did, and the fire department and all the staff who worked hard to do that. And if you could please let them know that we appreciate it and we recognize them. Thank you for bringing that up. I did enjoy going down there and seeing all the goings-on with the dash-in, and that, again, is another community collaboration, which is, again, another part of my theme, is to really recognize our community partners as we go along during the year. So thank you for reminding me of that, Ms. McBride. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Jared Gore is our next speaker.
Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
New Year.
Welcome back, Mr. McDonough.
Thank you,
I was
Mr.
wondering
Gore.
if something was different up there, and Kelly Glass Layton is missing, so. City Manager, so nice to see everybody this year. I've been working on a few projects in our community. I call it beautifying our community is what I call it. Since last time I stood before you over on East Avenue, Nassau, and Bahama, I had 3 trash piles removed. One of the problems is that we are dumping everything on a trash pile, and I realized that we got certain days to pick up certain things. And I'm gonna need a list of that, when to pick up vegetation, when to pick up furniture. And with the trash piles that I had removed, I was telling the people, just put it in front of your house when you know what day they're gonna pick it up. You can't, I've been hauling some things to the dump myself, and when I get out there, I'm noticing I have to separate it. So now I'm understanding what the problem is in East Stewart area. Everything is just piled and you can't separate it. But there's another problem that I have, hoping you can help me with it. I was talking to Keep Martin Beautiful, and we are able to adopt avenues, I believe, going east and west. But we also got some streets like East Avenue, Bayou, Nassau, Bahama, Tarpon, that runs from 10th Street all the way over to Lake Street. Tarpon runs all the way to MLK. If there was any way possible to have somebody that was very interested in keeping their community beautiful, could adopt those streets and make sure that they was maintained, I think we could have more of a success in keeping our community clean and picked up. Right now, I'm on the corner of East Avenue. I have a daycare there. They must have had a party there Saturday night. And before I got to church Sunday morning, my lot was picked up because I'm paying a young lady to keep it picked up anytime she see trash. And she was out there and she picked up $6 along with the trash. So she was all excited about it. And so, but one of the things I want to do, and thanks, I know I talked to the city manager about putting a cardboard bin there. And there's one there, I think, right behind Gertrude Walton. And that's sufficient enough for the 2 food banks that we have there. I have one, I'll crush it up, put it on my trailer and deliver it over there, already broke down, so it'll fit nice and neat there. And we do have 6 months where we keep the community clean, which is the 23rd. Coming up, we got one coming up then, and then the rest of them I can post them. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things there that I really have. Besides the cardboard bin dumpster, we have that. Thank you so much. And that'll keep them from throwing it on the ground, and they can just pick it up and do whatever they need, put it into that bin, and there'd be one picked up. But if I could get just, I don't want to go breaking any rules, but if I can find some people that are willing to help keep the community beautiful, and they could adopt those streets that's going side over to Lake Street to 10th Street, I think it'll be a great benefit, and I think we could see a little bit more progress of keeping the paper picked up and get the young kids involved. I think right now, the one young lady that she's about 10 years old that picks up, and all the kids, oh, she's out picking up paper all by herself. She's just all picking up paper. Well, I like to get them motivated to do the same thing. And then one other thing we really need in our community, I know we had Gertrude Walton there, that was bringing the community together, but there's another little clique there somewhere in the community, those that got stores now. Because the paper is really coming from those stores. When they buy potato chips and stuff, they throw it down on the ground. And we can get them more involved about where's your litter going, where's your paper and everything is going, that they'll get more involved. Tell the kids you need to throw it in the trash can before you go, because they pass a lot of trash cans. And I'll close with this one. I'm not preaching, but I'll close with this one. Back when I was about, I guess, 20 years old, I was over at Cherokee at the time.
Yesterday, that was, Mr. Gore?
20 years, I was 20, yeah, you got it right, yeah. I don't wish to be that young again. I learned so much at this age. Amen. But anyway, and someone put a can on my car. And I didn't know it. When I took off, right past the police station, it fell off and hit the ground. By the time I got to the tracks there on Dixie, the police turned me around, brought me back to Cherokee in front of all the people to pick that can up.
Okay, thank you.
I never done it again.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're still trying to hold our time and to hold our comments under the guidelines. Mr. Mortel didn't mention that, but City Clerk, we have 3 minutes for comments, public comments, whether it's on a item or just general publics. We have 3 minutes, so we really appreciate abiding by that. Mr. Gore, I'm going to ask that you meet with City Manager and myself and others. We're working on a project, and we will get with you to get all those schedules and those days together. for the cleaning. And I will also work with you to get some businesses to adopt those streets as we go through with the Keep Martin Beautiful program. So thank you so much for those comments.
Mayor Clark,
Yes, Ms. Commissioner?
when Ms. Helen was speaking about the Christmas trees, I wish we could do that every year and let it grow into something. I don't know what. Maybe we could put all of our heads together and come up with a way we could do it, because that was the realtors that did it this year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Or our first time, and if they wanted to, or get another organization or something, or maybe the community, involving the community or something. Anyway, we'll just put our heads together, and I'd love to see it evolve into every year.
Thank you,
will
and I
talk
know
to the
you were
realtors and see if
instrumental
they
in
wanna do it again.
in doing your, you were very good in decorating. So I'm sure that between yourself and Commissioner McDonald, you can both be our representative to make sure we get something going, and we'll talk about it. Community collaboration is one of my big efforts this year. So we're going to work to collaborate with as many community groups as possible and to do activities. We know that we have the river that we've coordinated with and so many other groups. But
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much for that idea.
And
At
could you,
this-
and you wanted to, the lights, the white lights that were on the trees, are they there all the time? Or was that just what we
By the
did this
Public
year?
Works Department,
Was
City
it?
Manager. I think beside the bathroom, they have a certain type of lighting in Memorial Park.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
could
sure
just
if
see
they're
it
all year
growing,
round.
you
Like,
know,
I'll tell you
5 or
one
10
second.
years from now, how they come from Fort Pierce to see it.
Thank you.
Just grow. And another thing, I didn't understand what Mr. Gore, what he meant by the trash.
Sorry, Miss, thank you,
Mr.
Commissioner
Gore,
Bruno. Yes.
could you
So-
come to
Yes,
the,
Commissioner Bruno, while you were saying that, and I know that I want to make sure that we keep order and everything going, but we do have a little time. Mr. Gore, I wanted you to explain the joint experience that you and I had on December 6th that really pushed me to saying that I wanted to make sure that we have this cleanup thing, which will answer Commissioner Bruner's question. We had a community walk in the community, a prayer walk, and Mr. Gore called me afterwards, other people called me afterwards, and we're like, yes, that's what we saw. We actually saw this. So, Mr. Gore.
Yes, we were coming down Lake Street, that's one that my church adopted, and there was so much litter on the ground. I was embarrassed for people to come through our community and walk through there. So after the walk, my wife and I, we went back and we began to pick up just at least Lake Street. And we picked that up. We got over a couple bags in less than a block. And it's just embarrassing. It's very embarrassing for people to come to our community to want to be a part. And we let it go like that. And we can do something about that.
yeah, try to figure out, I like what you said, the children or something, or whatever. Okay,
Yeah, we
thank
get
you.
the kids involved, but we'll really conquer.
Well, I have
we're
some
after.
ideas. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It is now 5:10 PM. We're at public comment, general public comment. And city manager, should we move forward? Oh, we've done the approval of the agenda already.
You need to check
We're
Zoom.
going to take a break.
You need to check Zoom for public comment.
I have,
Oh, does Zoom have any general public comment? Otherwise, Commissioner Bruno has another statement, although. No, ma'am, nobody on Zoom has their hand raised. Okay, Commissioner Bruner?
I just wanted to say, when Ms. Helen said about how I think all of us like our little town and how great, with staff and government, and how, we can improve. I want to apologize for December. I was a little jumping the gun, gang, and I apologize for that. I wish that more governments, more leaders in our community would lead like we do here. And I hope we continue that, but I will not jump the gun, and anyway.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
are you looking to take a break? Can I ask one question as well?
I was going to take a break. What was that? Do you have another question?
Well, I really apologize. I neglected to mention it in my comments, but during our conversation, our vision meeting, I had brought up looking at our ordinances regarding straws and plastic single-use materials on city-owned property. And I was just hoping that perhaps at next meeting or soon thereafter, if not possible at next meeting, that we could have a brief presentation by staff on where we stand with that. Because I know, I mean, I have seen that it's not necessarily being enforced or complied with, and whether or not we need to put out one more, final warning to our local businesses and partners on our city-owned property.
I maybe just be able to answer that for you real quick rather than a presentation. So up till this point, we've been doing the educational materials, and then I believe it was January with the enforcement mechanism where to start. Mr. Nicolosi and I had a discussion, and he has directed the Neighborhood Services Division to go around to start looking for locations who are still selling or providing the plastics and giving them basically the written type warnings or warnings now to inform them that enforcement is now in effect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comment, Commissioner Meyer. At this time, we're going to take a short recess, and we will get back at 5:30, starting with the consent agenda items.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, you noticed that the commissioners read your newsletter this week and have been trying to be as quick as they can on the items, and efficient and
Good afternoon. It is now 5:30 p.m. on January the 11th. This is the City of Stuart Commission meeting, continuing from our early start for the first meeting of the month at 4 p.m. And now we are at 5:30 p.m. We had a short break, and we're starting again. The roll has been called, the allegiance has been pledged. We will continue with our meeting. In continuing with our meeting, we stopped at the comments from the public, and we have a public comment by Mr. Armand Pasquale, and we will have that comment, and then we will move on with the agenda. Mr. Pasquale, Happy New Year, welcome, thank you. And we have 3 minutes.
Pasquale downtown. I'm going to revise that to say a healthy new year
Thank you, sir.
to all of you and your families.
Thank you.
I
Not
hope
happy.
you make it. Happy comes after the healthy.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, New Year's Eve, there were hundreds and hundreds of people downtown hollering, screaming, not wearing masks, not distancing, nothing. Music was off the charts as far as loudness. Spreading of COVID, guaranteed. Sunday afternoon, there was a band over here at the stage, hundreds and hundreds of people sitting on the stage and all around. Very few wearing masks, no social distances. COVID hotspot. Last Sunday, again, another band on the stage, the same situation. By allowing this to happen, you are in effect spreading this virus. Palm Beach County has just suspended all of their activities because the rate has gone up over 10, whatever that's supposed to be. You people declare an emergency. I'd like to know what you're doing with this emergency, because the COVID keeps being spread in this county, in this city. Somebody better do something, or we're all going to end up over here in the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
With regard to the agenda, we have the consent agenda that has been published, items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Before I ask for the board's action on the consent agenda, I'd like to note that item number 7 we've been provided. I'm not sure if it's a new version because
It
there are
is,
all these comments.
If you look at section 7, it's simply some revisions that were made by St. Lucie County and sent to us after the agenda was already published. And Chief Tuminelli has reviewed them, and I've reviewed them, and the city doesn't have any objection to them. It's our intention to adopt the revised version that's been on your desk and provided to you today, and it's, the reason we didn't provide it earlier is because we literally got it on Friday at 5 o'clock, I think was what time. But it doesn't really make much difference. I'll tell you what the revision is. It used to be that if there was a forfeiture, both agencies would forfeit or would split the proceeds, and now it's the arresting agency manages the forfeiture and would be exposed to the liability associated with it as well, because by splitting it, it made both agencies have to share in liability. The reality is, since I've been here, I'm not aware of a forfeiture that both agencies split anyway. So it's not something that happens every day.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Mortel, with regard to that same item agenda, the new document that was provided to us, I don't like the format for the attestation of our city clerk before the signatures of the parties from the city who will be a party to this contract, and I'm not sure if that's the way the original document from St. Lucie County looks. I hear that there's a signed document and we just need to sign our portion, but it just,
Yeah, we'll revise it, and I'll put the clerk's signature below the mayor's signature.
okay. I appreciate that.
It's on
So,
the back page.
no, just the format.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question?
All right, we're gonna ask our questions okay, because if we accept it, then we won't be able to do anything. Yes, sir.
And I know it might seem like a silly little thing, but the gender pronouns in the agency head or his designee throughout, the reference to the agency head is always a he. And although we currently have he as our agency heads, I think it would be an easy thing for us to just make that a gender-neutral pronoun so that we don't have to rewrite it in case there is a female sheriff or a female chief of police of the city of Stuart.
Well, it's not a problem.
Thank you for the good news, Mr. Meyer. Just in case we have a female chief of police. Yes, thank you, I appreciate that. That is a good thing to think of. So we have on our consent calendar, items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. For those who are in the public or looking at Zoom, when we accept an item on the consent agenda, there's no further discussion when we accept the consent agenda, there's no further discussion, and I don't think there's anything that needs roll call. Item number 11, City Clerk, well, most of them, actually.
We do ask for roll call on the consent
Yes,
calendar.
all of them, we'll have a roll call.
I'll move for approval with the change on item number 7 as requested by Commissioner Meyer.
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and second, all in favor, roll call.
Commissioner Bruner?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matheson?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Public comment.
Any public comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, City Manager, please proceed with following what we adopted on the consent agenda. Thank you so much. This is the end of our consent calendar. Now we have commission action items, and previously, when the entire agenda was adopted, City Manager had mentioned that there was a matter with item number 13. Do you want us to wait until we get to that item?
Yes,
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. So today, we have item number 12, which is an ordinance first reading. It's a quasi-judicial matter, so we have to observe certain principles and make sure that the matter goes through correctly. And our first order of business is to have our city attorney read the title of agenda item number 12.
And this is ordinance 2452-2021, an ordinance of the city of Stuart, Florida, annexing allocating a future land use of conservation and allocating a zoning category of public for 4 city-owned properties adjacent to Haney Creek and Northwest Baker Road, and which are subject to a Florida Communities Trust Grant Award Agreement and being more fully described in Exhibits A1, A2, A3, and A4 attached here too, providing directions to the city clerk, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have any ex parte communications to disclose? Commissioner Bruner?
I'm here with an open eye, and I spoke with our manager.
Commissioner McDonald?
Here with an open mind, I spoke with Mr. Mortel.
Commissioner Meyer?
I've spoken with staff, and I'm here with an open mind.
Vice Mayor?
I have spoken with staff, residents who are part owners of the property, and I'm here with an open mind.
I'm here with an open mind. All those who are giving testimony, please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. This is item number 12.
Let the
Haney
record
Creek.
reflect that Kevin Freeman will be testifying. Mr. Freeman, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you for swearing him in, city attorney. Mr. Freeman, could you please present your testimony, including any evidence and your recommendation regarding item number 12?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission. Happy New Year to you all. This item proposes the annexation of 4 city-owned properties, all lying within the unincorporated Martin County and adjacent to the Haney Creek. The 4 properties are all subject to an FCT, Florida Communities Trust Grant, that was established in around the June or July 2000, and were purchased with funds from that grant. One of the requirements were that they were to be maintained as conservation or as passive recreation in perpetuity. One of the conditions to that grant was that they were to be designated as future land use as conservation. And up to this date, that's not occurred. The properties lie in the Martin County. The staff has spoken to Martin County recently. Part of the larger area within Haney Creek is owned by Martin County, and there are no current plans in the county to bring these into conservation. As they are owned by the city, I thought it'd be more appropriate to start to try and consolidate this area within the city boundaries and annex them in, and at the same time use the opportunity to comply with the FCT grant requirement of getting these into conservation. And I don't think there's any argument that these should be in conservation with the use and the locations that they are at the moment. So you can see the 4 properties. They do span quite a large area: Baker Road, north and south, and also Green River Parkway to the east. At the moment, you can see that the future land use, the existing in the county, are all mobile home, low density or medium density. The proposed would be to, once they're annexed into the city, to bring them all into conservation. And the future land use of conservation is one that allows passive recreation on there, which is the use that we see there at the moment. There's the existing zoning you can see in the county. It's mainly residential, various residential zoning districts. And again, bringing those properties into a public zoning, which again allows passive recreation. So the recommendation is that the city accept the recommendation to move ahead with the annexation and designate the property as conservation and public zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. I guess we're staff petitioner, the whole lock, stock and barrel. So you may not have anything else, but in your report, did you have a letter from the county or anything special that you'd like to bring up, or did you have any staff from the county with you today?
We reached out to the county. There was no official response. We had emails that were non-objecting to the proposal, telephone conversations with county staff, no real involvement from the county wanting to get engaged with this.
Thank you for your report and for the initiation of this.
Madam
with the
Mayor.
local planning agencies. At this time, do any of the commissioners have any questions for the petition? I think I have
Madam Mayor.
Commissioner McDonald on deck first and Commissioner Meyer.
My question's for Mike Martell. Mike, in your letter, I think it's the last paragraph, says that it meets 3 of the 4 conditions. And I want to make sure that we're okay with that, because,
I stand by that.
so, does that mean that since the county did not object, we're in good shape?
Well, I mean, the condition that it doesn't meet is, does this create an enclave? And the way to not create an enclave would be for the county to annex the other portion that's in the county's hands solely into the city to place it in conservation. But the county knows this is going into conservation. They're literally half owners of it, essentially, because the grant money bought it with their money at the same time. And they haven't expressed any concern about it. I can't imagine a scenario in which the county actually agrees to the city moving forward with an annexation. So I don't expect them to come here and cheerlead it. But I'm comfortable saying that they won't do anything about it and they're not going to appeal. We will not record this annexation until 31 days after this, because you have to wait for the appeal time for anybody to object. If during the 30 days someone objects, I'll be forced to do a memo that says an enclave could defeat a legal challenge. And if no one objects, then we'll record it. The reality is everyone involved knows flat out that it's going to be conservation. And this benefits the city to the extent that it gives the city the credit for conserving this land. Because right now, when you do the inventory of the city's conservation land, this can't be counted because it's not in the city limits.
No, I think we should annex it. I just want to make sure.
Well, if it's a challenge, I can't tell you that this is a 100% winner, obviously. I mean,
Right.
but I don't anticipate a challenge.
Okay, and I'm fine, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If there were no, I was going to make a motion to approve if we would be closing the hearing.
Okay, are there any, okay, there's a motion, a second, but is there any further comment from the commissioners as we've had a motion and a second for this annexation regarding item number 12?
Mayor,
Commissioner Bruner?
Mr. Dias, will you explain to the citizens or anyone that's listening what the importance of, or what it is to add up those conservation lands?
So there's 2 primary reasons that I requested staff to proceed with the annexation of this property. One is for a jurisdictional issue that occurs on property B, where there is an improved park that has parking and bathrooms and an entrance to the dog park behind it, which is on the county property. And in that location, while the park is a city park with City of Stuart advertisement on it, it lies within the county. So if anything occurs there, vandalism, anything like that, the Stuart police are called, and then they have to turn it over to the sheriff's office, and it creates a jurisdictional nightmare because why are we coming? It's a City of Stuart park. The second reason, as was explained just a couple minutes ago, is that by placing this within the city's city limits, we can add it to our conservation count, as well as that park I just spoke of, to our parklands, which is, we have a certain number of acres that we're required to maintain according to our comp plan. So that adds to those numbers that we have.
Thank you.
And by the way, we own it, so why not?
All right, and I know that some people think of annexation as a bad word, or that we're growing our city or something. And I think that this would have been a good project to really have solicited some buy-in or something from the county officially, because I think it's something positive and it's not hurting anybody, and it's not like, development or something where there might be some issues on both sides. So This is our first annexation for the year, and even though it's not critical, it would have been a good thing to at least say that we heard from county staff or whatever it was. But Mr. Martell, I hear you, and I hear you, Mr. Freeman, and I hear the board's discussion. Are there any further comments? We have a motion by Commissioner Meyer and a second by Vice Mayor Matheson, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, is there any other comment? Otherwise, I'll ask the clerk to, look, let me see, hold on, let me make sure that I'm doing anything. Okay, nothing else, and then we'll have the, Mr.,
Public.
yeah, before we get to public comment, Mr. Freeman, did you, when you put out notices and around the whole parcel of land, did you hear back anything from any residents in the area?
We had, I took a number of phone calls, but once it was explained that this land was moving into conservation, then people did recognize that this would be a good proposal. And so there was no objections that came in writing. We did reach out to the county and notified the county through the normal process, in addition to reaching out by telephone and email during this process. And we did have no official response back from the county.
Thank you, sir, thank you. Does any member of the public wish to make any unsworn public comment? Ms. McBride, I see approaching.
Yeah, because I use that road because of the bridge, Helen McBride, Flamingo Avenue. I think this is a great idea. We own the land, but it's in the county. And because anybody that knows me, I'm all for annexation, but I think we're annexing our own land in, and as a taxpayer of many years, I'd like to have the land in my, in my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comment in person here in the commission chambers? Is that a hand, Mr. Kempany? No. Mr. Paul, is there any, anyone on Zoom, sir? No, ma'am. Okay, so we have item number, yes, sir, please come on up and give your name and address. And you have 3 minutes, sir.
It's just a question. My name is Fred Longwood, and I live in Palm Lake Park. But I noticed, because I ride my bicycle down the bicycle
Could you
path
step up
on-
to the mic so we can
Up to
hear
the
you?
mic, sir.
I ride my bicycle down the Green River Road to Jensen Beach Road, and I noticed some of that land, I don't know where that is on the map, but it's already been sold. It's a, you know, it's a big sign that says land's been sold. Now, what is that land?
That portion of the land is known as Avonlea, and that's south of the land we're annexing, and that's been in private hands for in excess of, well, since it's an institution.
If you look at the map, anything in that, I guess it's a peach color over there to the right.
Oh, okay.
That's all private.
That's all private?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Is there any idea what they're going to do with it?
I can tell you do you see D on the map?
Mm-hmm.
Just to the right of D, they're going to make little single-family home, townhousey properties. And then the top corner across from B, that's on Green River, I don't know that, I haven't seen any plan on that. Mr. Freeman might know.
There's a dentist's.
Oh, is that the dentist's
Yeah,
office?
the
Okay,
dentist
yeah.
office is going to go in the corner. We have residential planned for some of the other parts. Some of the other parts that you see outlined there are in protected upland and wetland areas. So they're not quite marked on there like that. They're just boundaries shown. There's residential primarily in all the areas and mixed use as you move more towards the intersection.
Okay, that was my question. I was just wondering what that land, because I've noticed when I ride my bike down there in that land that you're pointing at, there's lots of tortoises that live in that area. They go in there, they have dens or holes, and I was wondering, you know, if those trees are all, if they go in there and cut down some of those trees, will those animals be protected?
Thank you. And the intent
Yes.
of this annexation is to have this as conservation
Okay.
area. Thank you. Any other members of the public? And if there are any members of our commission who have anything else to say before I close this public hearing, on item number 12. At this time, I will close the public hearing unless there's any other deliberation or anything. And what's the pleasure of the board? Oh, you did somebody make a motion?
You had a motion and a
We have a
second
motion and a
already.
second.
Okay.
You'll call the question, Madam Mayor.
Okay, it's question, nothing more, Mayor,
Roll call.
Mayor.
Commissioner,
Ms.
Commissioner
Kendall.
Bruner?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matheson?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we have item number 13,
This is
which is
ordinance.
a matter that staff wants to make a note that this might have to be recontinued. So could you please state, you read the ordinance, and
well-
is it going to be continued to a date certain, Mr.?
This is ordinance number 2457-2020, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, rezoning the 1.36 acre parcel from residential multifamily/office R3 to residential planned unit development RPUD, located north of the Arc of Martin County and south of the Estates of Stuart, east of Canner Highway, said land being more fully described in Exhibit A attached, establishing the Hidden Key RPUD consisting of 28 multifamily units within two-story apartment buildings, approving a development site plan, providing for development conditions and a timetable for development, declaring the plan to be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, providing directions to the city clerk, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. And it's been determined that they need to place the sign on the parcel so that it's visible from Canner Highway. So the matter has been, is being requested to be continued to the date certain of February 8th, which will give them sufficient time to meet the 15-day code requirement.
Madam Mayor, I'll move to continue item number 13 to February 8th.
Second.
Who did the second?
I
Is that-
think
Is that
I know-
Meyer or
Mike
McDonald?
did as well, so.
Okay.
Kind of a tie.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second for this to be continued to February 8th. City Clerk? You need
Commissioner
us
Bruner?
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Matheson?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Thank you, yes. Item number 14, tobacco and electronic nicotine regulation. Before we read this item, City Attorney, I'd just like to thank Commissioner McDonald for keeping a keen eye on what the county is doing and noticing that it didn't happen it wasn't congruent with the city. And so the city needs to be congruent, and we are going to get something done in the city, and we appreciate your keenness on that, Commissioner McDonald.
Thank you.
City Attorney?
This is ordinance 2459-2021, an ordinance of the City of Stuart amending Article 7, Section 12-163 through Section 12-172, relating to the sale and use of nicotine delivery devices and tobacco products, providing for a severability clause and a conflicts clause, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes. And essentially, the purpose for this ordinance is that last year, in January of 20, a federal law was adopted making it a requirement that you be 21 years old to purchase tobacco products. And in the state of Florida, the state legislation requires you to be 18 years of age to require tobacco products. It's legal for a municipality to have a higher standard than the state statute. So this is basically bringing the city into compliance with the federal law, which is the same thing the county did in the month of December as well.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to approve this ordinance for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded with regard to item number 14, the tobacco and electronic nicotine regulations. Are there any public comments on this matter? Any public comments on Zoom on this matter? No public comments on Zoom, no public comments in the chambers. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Matheson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bruner?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. We had a long discussion with regard to our commissioners' comments, but I do not believe, city manager, that there were anything added to the discussion and deliberation. So there are no items at this time, so I would ask for somebody to please, should I just adjourn, or does somebody need to make a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.